Taiyang stood by the large window of the spaceship. He looked out at the stars. His hands were behind his back. He was 63 years old now. For 10 years he had been here. For 10 years he tried to make the galaxy believe that humans were real. Most people thought humans were just old stories. They thought humans were myths like ghosts or monsters from bedtime tales. A tall alien walked toward him. This alien was made of crystal. Light passed through its body and made rainbow colors. Its name was Corval. When it moved, it made clicking sounds. Corval stopped next to Taiyang. The alien spoke in the common language that all species used. Still looking at the stars, Ambassador? After 10 years, you must know this view very well. Taiyang did not turn around. He kept looking at the nebula outside. Your people have been kind to me, but I know what you think. You think I am lying. You think humans do not exist? Corval's crystal body flashed with light. This meant the alien was amused.
Can you blame us?
For 3,000 years, humans have been just stories. Old species told tales about ghost ships that appeared from nowhere. They talked about warriors who never felt pain. They said humans were creatures who could not die. We can die, Taiyang said quietly. We just do not accept death as easily as others do. Before Corval could answer, loud alarms rang through the building. The doors burst open. A young man in uniform ran inside. His name was Minho. He was 28 years old and looked scared. His face was very pale. Ambassador, the Kresh are attacking. They have broken through our outer defenses. 7 colonies are under attack. The Kresh say we must surrender or they will kill everyone. The room filled with noise. All the aliens started talking at once. Everyone was afraid. The Kresh were the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. They were like insects, but huge. They had one mind that controlled all of them. They ate entire planets. They left nothing behind. For thousands of years, the Kresh had stayed in the dark zone, a dangerous part of space. Now they were awake and hungry. A floating alien that looked like a jellyfish moved forward. Its name was Pexta. It was glowing with fear. We have no army that can stop them. Our soldiers are only for ceremonies. We are scientists and traders, not fighters. Then maybe, Taiyang said, and everyone stopped talking to listen to him. It is time to ask for help from those who are fighters. All eyes turned to him. Corval's crystal body made sharp angles with the light. You cannot mean, I do mean it. Taiyang stood up straight. For the first time in 10 years, the council saw him not as a patient diplomat, but as what he really was. A soldier. You wanted proof that humans exist? You wanted evidence that the old stories are true? Give me permission to call our forces. I will show you why the ancient species feared us. The stories say humans were sellers of war, Pexta said. They say humans fought for anyone who paid them. Yes, we were mercenaries, Taiyang admitted. 3,000 years ago, we left our home system. We found a galaxy full of wars. We did what we were good at, we fought. We fought for anyone, for any cause. Then the predecessors hired us to end a big war. We did end it. We ended it so completely that it scared them. They turned against us. They destroyed our history books. They scattered our fleets. They told everyone we were just myths. They did this so no one would hire us again. He paused and looked around the room. They were afraid of what they had created. We were an army with no home planet to protect. We had no beliefs to fight for. We had nothing to lose. But we did not disappear. We just hid. We watched. We waited for the day when we would be needed again. Minho stepped forward. He held up a device that showed a hologram. I have the locations of 12 hidden fleets. We have ships sleeping in the void of space. We have garrison planets that look like asteroids. 30 million soldiers are in cryosleep, frozen and waiting. We have engineers, pilots, and strategists. All of them are waiting for the signal to wake up. The council was silent. Finally, Corval spoke. If we allow this, if we wake up humanity's military, how do we know you will not turn on us like you did to the predecessors? Taiyang looked directly at the crystal alien. You do not know. You will have to trust us. Just like we have to trust that after we save you, you will not try to destroy us again. Another alarm sounded. More colonies were falling. The Kresh were moving faster. Time was running out. Pexta's body pulsed with a dim light. It meant the alien had given up arguing. Very well. The council gives you emergency military authority. Call your forces, Ambassador. But know this. If humans betray us, the entire galaxy will unite to destroy you forever. Taiyang smiled a small, grim smile. Counselor, if we wanted to betray you, we would have done it years ago. Mino sent the recall signal. Use priority code Ragnarok. The young officer's hands shook a little as he typed in the old codes. Across thousands of light years, in the dark spaces between stars, signals began to pulse. Machines started to wake up. Cryopods began to open with a hiss. Ships that had been silent for 300 years started to power up. Humanity was coming home. The galaxy was about to remember why it had been afraid of them. The myths were becoming real. And the real humans were more terrifying than any story. G1 opened her eyes. She saw blue light all around her. The cryopod was waking her up. Her mind came back slowly, like pieces of a puzzle fitting together. First, she remembered how to think about fighting. Then she remembered who she was. Last, she felt her emotions return. 3 minutes later, she was fully awake. She was not the same person who went into the pod 300 years ago. That girl had been 24 years old and scared. That girl was a new pilot who did not know much about war. The woman who now stood in the cold room was different. She was hard. She was ready. Status, she said. Her voice was strong even though she had been asleep for 3 centuries. Another woman was already working at a computer station. Her name was Hana. She was G1's second in command. When Hana went into cryo-sleep, she was 43 years old. She had fought in 17 wars. Fleet Delta 7 is working at 96%. We lost 8 ships because their power cores died. The rest are getting ready. Weapons and engines are starting up. 300 years, G1 said softly as she put on her combat uniform. The clothes felt strange but familiar. They finally called us back. Priority code Ragnarok, Hana confirmed. The highest level alert. The council is about to die. All around them, the ship came alive. 20,000 soldiers were waking up from cryo-sleep. They moved like they had never forgotten their training. Engineers checked weapon systems. Pilots practiced flying simulations. Medical staff watched the vital signs of everyone waking up. On the bridge, G1 looked at the tactical display. Show me what we are fighting. A hologram appeared. It was terrifying. The Kresh Dominion was advancing like a disease. 17 colonies were already destroyed. 3 more were under attack. The hive ships moved across the star map like a plague. Each ship was the size of a small moon. Each one carried billions of Kresh warriors. By the void, whispered a young man named Daehyun. He was the tactical officer. When he went into cryo-sleep, he was barely 20 years old and fresh from the academy. The Council's forces do not stand a chance. That is why they called us, Ji-won replied. She opened the communication channel to all ships. All ships, this is Captain Ji-won of the carrier Indomitable. We have been asleep for 3 centuries. The galaxy moved on without us. The Galactic Council used us, then betrayed us. Now they beg for our help against an enemy that wants to kill all life. She paused to let her words reach every soldier who was waking up. You might wonder why we should help them. The answer is simple, because this is who we are. We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. We are warriors. Warriors protect those who cannot protect themselves, even those who wronged us. Also, the Kresh do not negotiate. They do not make deals. They only eat. If we do not stop them here, they will eventually find our hidden colonies. They will find our secret bases. Better to face them now on our terms. The response was immediate. A thunderous roar came from every ship. 30 million voices were eager for battle after centuries of sleep. All across the galaxy, similar scenes happened. Fleet commanders woke up to take control. General Soman, a legendary strategist who had never lost a battle, looked at invasion plans made centuries ago. Admiral Junho, who became a flag officer at age 36, organized fleet movements from his flagship. On a garrison asteroid called Iron Haven, Colonel Hyojin gathered her ground forces. She had 10,000 mechanized infantry. She had 5,000 combat engineers. She had 1,000 special operations troops trained for impossible missions. When Hyojin went into cryosleep, she was 51. She had been humanity's most decorated ground commander. Now she was ready to add more glory to her name. In a hidden shipyard near a dead star, the greatest secret came online. The Prometheus-class dreadnoughts. 12 ships so powerful that the predecessors had demanded they be destroyed. Humanity had pretended to destroy them. Instead, they had hidden them, waiting for this moment. Captain Jae-hyun commanded the lead dreadnought called Eternal Storm. He watched his crew run to their stations. He was 72 years old when he went into cryosleep. He had a lifetime of combat experience. Now he felt that old warrior instinct waking up inside him. All systems online, reported his executive officer, Commander Nari. Weapons charged, FTL drives ready, crew at battle stations. Jae-hyun sat in his command chair. Then let us remind the galaxy what happens when you wake sleeping giants. All ships prepare for jump. Destination, the Outer Rim. Priority, save every life we can. Secondary objective, show the Kresh why they should have stayed in the Dark Zone. Space rippled as the fleet began to jump. One by one, the sleeper fleets disappeared from their hiding places. They reappeared at the edges of the battlefield. 30 million soldiers, 10,000 ships, 12 dreadnoughts that could crack planets. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Tae-yang watched the tactical display. Impossible numbers of ship signatures appeared on the sensors. Lieutenant Minho stood beside him. His face was pale with awe. "Sir," the young officer whispered, "is that all of them?" "No," Tae-yang replied quietly. "This is only the first wave. If this is not enough, there are deeper reserves. Forces even I do not know about. Humanity learned long ago never to show all its strength." Corval approached. Its crystal structure was flickering with what might be fear. By the ancients. The legends did not exaggerate. If anything, they were too weak. "You have not seen anything yet," Tae-yang said. "You asked for proof that humans exist. You asked to see why the predecessors feared us. Now you will see. Fleet Command, this is Ambassador Tae-yang. You are authorized to engage. Rules. Save the colonies, destroy the Kresh, and show the galaxy that humanity's honor is worth more than the civilization that tried to erase us." Captain Ji-won's voice came through the channel. She sounded cool and confident. "Understood, Ambassador. All ships weapons free. Let us go to war." And humanity, no longer a myth, stormed into combat. The Kresh had been attacking Valendra for 3 days. Their hive ships blocked the sun. The colony was in permanent twilight. Millions of bio-warriors fell from the sky in organic pods. The local defense forces had only ceremonial weapons and old shields. They held the capital city only because they had nowhere else to run. Governor Paxland stood on the walls. He had 4 arms and all of them hung down in defeat. He watched the latest wave of Kresh prepare to attack. His people were dying. His world was falling. The council had sent no help. Then the sky changed. Space ripped open above the Kresh hive ships. Brilliant flashes of light appeared. Jump signatures, hundreds of them in perfect formation. Ships began to appear. They were not like any ships Paxland had ever seen. They were sleek and aggressive. They were covered in weapons designed for one purpose: maximum violence. The human fleet had arrived. Captain Ji-won stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. Her face was like ice as she looked at the battlefield. 3 Kresh hive ships, countless bio-warriors already on the ground. The colony's shields were failing. They had minutes at best. Commander Hana status on the dreadnoughts. Eternal Storm and her sisters are in position behind the hive ships. Captain Jae-hyun reports weapons hot and targets locked. Tell him to fire when ready. All fighter wings launch. Ground forces prepare for combat drop. Colonel Heejin, your mechanized divisions will hit the western flank. Drive the Kresh back to their landing zones. Destroy every bio-warrior you find. Understood, came Heejin's rough voice. It will be a pleasure to fight something that can fight back. The dreadnought Eternal Storm fired first. A single beam of pure energy. It was so bright it burned images into every eye that saw it. The beam struck the nearest hive ship's center and punched straight through. It vaporized billions of Kresh in an instant. The ship began to break apart. Its organic structure could not survive such damage. The second and third dreadnoughts fired. 2 more hive ships died before they could respond. The remaining Kresh fleet scattered in panic. That panic was fatal. The human destroyers and frigates hunted them down without mercy. On the ground, the real killing began. Drop pods rained from the sky. But these were not organic and fragile like Kresh pods. These were armored and shielded. They moved at incredible speed. They hit the ground like meteors. From each pod came a squad of human soldiers in powered armor. Sergeant Minsok led his squad out with practiced ease. He had done this 1,000 times before. When he went into cryosleep, he was 31. He had been a squad leader for 8 years. His armor's sensors immediately marked targets, hundreds of them. Kresh bio-warriors. Each one was 2 meters tall, made of shell and claws. Each one was a nightmare. Light them up, he ordered calmly. His squad opened fire. They did not use energy weapons. Those were too clean. Humans had learned that kinetic weapons had a psychological impact. The sound of gunfire, the sight of enemy bodies being torn apart, the smell of blood and smoke, all of this was designed to break the enemy's will. The Kresh charged. It was a mistake. Humans had spent 3,000 years perfecting ground combat. Every soldier wore powered armor that made them 10 times stronger. Neural interfaces let them process combat data faster than any normal brain. Their weapons were designed through centuries of war against every kind of enemy. But more than that, humans were adaptable. Private Yuna was the youngest in Minsok's squad. She was 19 when frozen. She saw a Kresh warrior leap over her position. Without thinking, she ducked, let it pass over her, and fired upward as it flew past. The creature hit the ground dead. "Nice shot," Minsok called. "Thank you, Sergeant." She sounded almost happy despite the horror around them. Colonel Hyejin watched from her command mech as her divisions moved across the battlefield. The mechanized infantry moved in perfect coordination. Tanks, walkers, and infantry supported each other in a dance of destruction. The Kresh were used to overwhelming weak species with numbers. But humanity was not weak, and they were not overwhelmed. "All units push forward," she ordered. "Drive them to the landing zones. I want every bio-warrior dead or fleeing within the hour." The battle lasted exactly 47 minutes. At the end, not a single Kresh remained alive on Valendra's surface. The survivors fled in their few remaining ships. They sent panicked signals to their hive mind about an impossible enemy. Governor Paxlin stood in shock as a human soldier in powered armor approached. The armor opened its helmet. Inside was a woman with steel-gray eyes and a professional face. "Colonel Hyejin, 3rd Mechanized Division," she said. "Your world is secure. Our medical teams will help your wounded. Our engineers will help rebuild your defenses. You are human?" Paxlin could barely speak. "The legends are true." Hyejin smiled slightly. "Very true, Governor. Though I suspect the legends did not mention how we take our coffee." Her expression became hard again. "Now tell me, where are the Kresh going next? We have more colonies to save." On the Indomitable, Captain Jiwan received reports from across the Outer Rim. 12 colonies liberated, 8 hive ships destroyed, millions of Kresh killed, human casualties, 300 soldiers wounded, 42 dead. For a battle against an enemy that had never been defeated, the numbers were almost miraculous. But Jiwan knew better than to celebrate. "Hana, plot the Kresh retreat vector. Where are they running?" The commander studied her displays. "Back to the Dark Zone, to their main hive clusters." "Then that is where we go next," Jiwan decided. "We do not give them time to regroup. We press the attack. Fleet-wide order, pursue and destroy. We end this threat now, permanently." Lieutenant Daehyun looked worried. "Captain, the Dark Zone is uncharted. No one has ever successfully invaded it." "No human has tried," Jiwan corrected. "That changes today. Inform Admiral Junho and General Soman. We are taking the fight to them." On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council watched in stunned silence. The tactical displays showed human forces pressing forward. They were driving the Kresh like prey before predators. Ambassador Taeyang stood quietly. Lieutenant Minho approached him. "Sir, the Council is afraid." "Good," Taeyang replied. "Let them remember this fear. Let them remember they once tried to erase us, and let them be grateful we are more honorable than they were." The myths had become reality, and reality was terrifying. The Dark Zone had earned its name through thousands of years of fear. It was a region of space where stars died young. Gravitational anomalies made faster-than-light travel nearly impossible. Every expedition that entered never came back. The Kresh had claimed it as their breeding ground. It was the perfect defensive position. Admiral Junho studied the tactical projections with a calculating gaze. He had spent 40 years outsmarting enemies with larger forces. He was 76 years old total now. 36 when frozen, 40 years of experience. He was humanity's most brilliant naval strategist. "The gravitational currents make normal jump calculations useless," his navigation officer explained. Her name was Yunji. She was 29 when frozen. Her mastery of space-time mathematics was legendary. "We would need to recalculate every jump in real time." "Then that is what we do," Junho replied. "The Kresh think this makes them safe. We will prove them wrong." Yunji, coordinate with General Soman's strategic AI. "If anyone can map a path through chaos, it is you two." On the assault carrier Relentless, General Soman reviewed invasion plans. Any other military would call these plans insane. But humanity's military had always embraced the impossible. She was 61 when frozen. She had commanded forces in 42 campaigns without a single loss. She did not plan to start losing now. The Kresh will expect us to attack their outer hives first, she told her staff. Standard military doctrine: establish bases, secure supply lines, advance slowly. Major Jiho, her chief of staff, nodded. So we do the opposite? Exactly. We bypass the outer defenses completely. We jump directly to their core worlds. We strike at the hive queens themselves, cut off the head and the body dies. That is suicide, protested Colonel Bora. She commanded the Special Operations Forces. We would be surrounded. Outnumbered 1,000 to 1, Soman smiled coldly. Only if they can catch us. Captain Jiwan's carrier groups will keep moving. We strike, we move, we strike again. Death by 1,000 cuts. And while they scramble to respond, our main battle fleet destroys their breeding hives. The invasion began with a single probe, a small ship carrying Commander Yunji and her navigation team. They jumped blindly into the anomaly. Their AI systems worked frantically to map gravitational currents in real time. Gravitational shear at 47 degrees, Yunji called out. Her fingers danced across holographic controls, compensating. Jump vector updated. The ship lurched as space twisted around it. They emerged in a region filled with dead stars and nebular clouds. And there, like a cancer across dozens of systems, sprawled the Kresh Dominion, billions of hive ships, trillions of bio-warriors, entire planets transformed into breeding grounds. It was a sight that would have broken weaker species, but Yunji simply recorded everything. She mapped the currents. She prepared the navigation data for the fleet. Admiral Junho, this is Pathfinder 1, she transmitted. We have the route. Uploading now. But sir, there are so many of them. Junho's response was calm. Then we will have to kill them all. Well done, Commander. Return to the fleet. It is time to show the Kresh what happens when they threaten a species that refuses to die. The human fleet jumped into the dark zone. It was a coordinated assault that broke every rule of military logic. Carrier groups appeared deep in Kresh territory. They launched devastating strikes and vanished before the enemy could respond. Dreadnoughts appeared next to breeding worlds. They reduced them to dead rocks with sustained fire. Captain Jiwan led her carrier group in a dance of death through the anomaly. Her pilots were veterans of countless battles. They flew like they were born in zero gravity. Lieutenant Daehyun coordinated their strikes with surgical precision. Each attack was calculated to cause maximum damage while minimizing risk. 3 hive clusters destroyed, Daehyun reported. Estimated Kresh casualties 70 billion. Good, Jiwan replied without emotion. Target the next cluster. No mercy, no quarter. They would have shown us none. On the ground, Colonel Hyejin's forces conducted raids that became legend. They would drop from orbit, strike a breeding facility, plant nuclear devices, and be gone before defenders knew they were under attack. Sergeant Minsak's squad became experts in deep hive infiltration. They would go kilometers into Kresh strongholds. They navigated through organic tunnels filled with bio-warriors. They reached critical nodes and destroyed them. Contact front, shouted Private Yuna as Kresh warriors charged through the tunnel. Her weapon fired, cutting down the first rank. But more kept coming. Fall back to checkpoint 3, Minsak ordered. Yuna, Kyungsu covering fire. Sunwoo primed the charges. They moved with practiced coordination. Each soldier covered the others as they retreated through the nightmare tunnels. Behind them, the charges exploded. Kilometers of Kresh infrastructure collapsed. Millions of bio-warriors were buried, but the most devastating blows came from Captain Jaehyun's dreadnought squadron. They had found the location of the Kresh Supreme Queen. She was the original hive mind that controlled the entire species. She lived in a massive organic structure the size of a small moon. Thousands of hive ships protected her. All ships, this is Eternal Storm, Jaehyun transmitted. We will only get one shot at this. Concentrate all fire on the central mass. On my mark. The 12 dreadnoughts emerged from jump space at the same time. Their weapons were already charged. The Kresh defenders scrambled to respond. They were too slow. Fire, Jaehyun ordered simply. 12 beams of pure energy struck the Supreme Queen's fortress at once. Each beam was powerful enough to crack a planet. The organic structure held for perhaps 3 seconds. Long enough for every Kresh in the galaxy to feel their queen's death scream through the hive mind. Then it exploded in a storm of biomatter and energy. across the dark zone, across the outer rim, across every system where Kresh warriors fought. The effect was immediate. Billions of bio-warriors simply stopped fighting. Their hive mind was severed. They became nothing more than mindless beasts. Some attacked each other. Others fled. Most simply collapsed and died. The war was over. On the Indomitable's bridge, Commander Hana stared at the tactical displays in disbelief. "Captain, they are all retreating. The entire Kresh Dominion is collapsing." Jiwan allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. "Inform General Soman and Admiral Junho. Begin cleanup operations. Any remaining Kresh forces are to be destroyed or driven so far into the Dark Zone that they never threaten anyone again." The battle had lasted 6 days. In that time, humanity had done what the galaxy thought impossible. They had invaded the Dark Zone. They had destroyed an enemy that had terrorized civilizations for thousands of years. The galaxy would never forget. And they would never again think humans were just myths. 2 weeks after the battle, the Galactic Council chamber was more crowded than it had ever been. Representatives from hundreds of species filled every space. All of them were waiting to see what would happen next. At the center stood Ambassador Taeyang. Lieutenant Minho stood at his side. They faced a council that looked at them with gratitude and terror mixed together. Counselor Pexta floated forward. Its jelly-like body pulsed with complex emotions. "Ambassador Taeyang, the Council wishes to formally thank humanity. You saved countless lives. You eliminated a threat that had plagued the galaxy for thousands of years." Taeyang bowed his head slightly. "We did what warriors do, Counselor. We protected those who could not protect themselves." "Yes," Pexta agreed. "But now we must discuss the future. Your fleets remain fully active. Your soldiers have not returned to cryosleep. Your dreadnoughts patrol the outer rim. The galaxy wants to know, what does humanity intend to do?" The chamber fell silent. This was the question everyone feared. Would humanity conquer the galaxy they had just saved? They had shown overwhelming military power. Would they use it to rule? Taeyang looked around the chamber slowly. He met the eyes of representatives from species that had once thought his people were fairy tales. 300 years ago, the predecessors hired us to fight their wars. We did so with honor. When we became too powerful, too effective, they turned on us. They destroyed our records. They scattered our fleets. They tried to erase us from history. He paused to let his words sink in. We could have fought back. We could have conquered the galaxy then. Instead, we went into hiding. We waited. We watched. And when you needed us again, we came. But that does not answer the question, Korval said. Its crystal structure flickered nervously. What do you want? Taeyang smiled slightly. We want what we have always wanted, a place in the galaxy. Not to rule it. Not to dominate it. Simply to exist alongside you as equals. He gestured to the displays showing the outer rim. Our fleets will remain active for now, but not as conquerors. We will maintain a defensive perimeter. We will protect against any future threats. Our soldiers will guard key systems, but under council oversight. Our ships will patrol trade routes. We will ensure the peace we fought to establish. In exchange, Minho added, speaking publicly for the first time, we ask for recognition. Restore our history. Acknowledge our existence. Grant us representation in this council, not as guests but as members. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Korval talked with other counselors. Then it responded. And if we refuse? If we decide that humanity is too dangerous to integrate? Taeyang's face became hard. Then you will have learned nothing. You will repeat the mistakes of the predecessors, and when the next threat comes, and it will come, you will face it alone. We will return to our hidden worlds, our secret fleets. We will let the galaxy take care of itself. The silence was complete. Finally, Governor Paxlin of Valendra stood. I speak for all the Outer Rim colonies. Humanity has earned their place among us. They saved our lives, our worlds, our children. To deny them recognition would be the height of ingratitude. Other voices joined his. Representatives from species who had seen human bravery with their own eyes. Military commanders who had fought alongside human soldiers. Civilians who owed their survival to human intervention. Pexta pulsed with resignation. Very well. The Council votes on admitting humanity as a full member species with all rights and responsibilities. The vote was quick. It was unanimous, though some counselors looked unhappy about it. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Ambassador Taeyang, Pexta said formally. May your species find the peace it has fought so hard to earn. On the carrier Indomitable, Captain Jiwan watched the ceremony through a hologram. Commander Hana stood beside her. What do you think, Captain? Will it last? Jiwan thought carefully. For a while, yes. We have proven we are useful, but the galaxy has a short memory. In time, they will forget the crash. They will forget how close they came to extinction, and they will start to fear us again. So this was all for nothing? Hana asked. No, Jiwan replied. We bought time. And we reminded the galaxy that humanity exists, not as conquerors or tyrants, but as warriors who stand against darkness. When the next crisis comes, and it will, they will remember that. They will call us again, and we will answer, because that is who we are. In orbit around a dead star, Captain Jaehyun prepared to hide the dreadnoughts again. The Eternal Storm and her sisters would return to their secret shipyards. They would wait once more in the void. But now they waited not in shame, but in readiness. Commander Nari set course for the hidden yards. Send a message to all sleeper fleets. Remain on standby alert. We will not be caught unprepared again. Colonel Heejin stood on Valendra's surface. She watched her engineers help rebuild the colony's defenses. Sergeant Minsuk and his squad worked alongside local workers. Their powered armor made heavy construction easy. Do you think we will stay awake this time, Colonel? Private Yuna asked. Heejin watched the sun set over a world they had saved. Some of us will, not all. We cannot stay fully active forever, but enough to train new soldiers, enough to keep our skills sharp, enough to ensure that if we are needed again, we can respond in days instead of centuries. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Taiyang returned to his quarters after the ceremony. Lieutenant Minho followed. Sir, we did it. After 300 years, humanity is recognized again. Taiyang nodded slowly. Yes, but remember, Minho, recognition is not respect. We earned their gratitude today, but respect must be maintained. Every day we must prove we are more than weapons. We must show we are a civilization worth standing beside, not just warriors to be feared. How do we do that? The old ambassador smiled. The same way we have always survived. We adapt, we learn. We teach the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength is not our dreadnoughts or our soldiers. It is our stubborn refusal to give up. On anything, ever. Across the galaxy, humanity began to integrate. Soldiers trained local defense forces. Engineers shared technology. Diplomats negotiated trade agreements. Teachers educated the young. Scientists worked together on research. Artists shared their culture. They were no longer myths whispered in fear. They were people. Complex, flawed, brilliant, and stubborn. They had come from 3 centuries of hiding to save a galaxy that tried to erase them. In doing so, they had reclaimed their place among the stars. The galaxy would remember the HFY War. They would remember the day humanity stormed into combat and saved them all. But more importantly, they would remember the days after, when humanity proved that warriors could also be builders, protectors, and friends. The legends had been true. Humanity existed. They were everything the stories claimed. Fierce, unstoppable, adaptable, and terrifying in combat. But they were also something the legends had not mentioned. They were honorable, and in a galaxy that had forgotten honor, that made them the most powerful force of all, not because of what they could destroy, but because of what they could build. The end.